When LeBron said he was the GOAT, it became personal.
If Michael Jordan says LeBron made it personal, you know this isn't just another debate about stats. Kobe respected LeBron, Magic crowned him, other legends like Barkley and Shaq have also shared their opinions on him. But wait till you hear what MJ said about LeBron that shook the whole of the NBA. But first, we have to understand that LeBron James entered the NBA like a prophecy everyone already knew was coming. At 17, Sports Illustrated called him the Chosen One, and that headline became his reality. He wasn't chasing hype, he was the hype. From day one, the expectations were historic. No player since Jordan had entered the league with this much pressure. And somehow, LeBron didn't just survive it, he lived up to it. 4 NBA titles, 4 MVPs, 19 All-Star selections, 2 Olympic gold medals, and the all-time scoring record. But here's where it gets interesting. Greatness, at least in basketball, doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. For some legends, it's about killer instinct. For others, it's about leadership. And for LeBron, it's always been about control. He grew up in Akron, Ohio, raised by his mom, Gloria, moving from apartment to apartment and never knowing what came next. That instability created a different kind of drive. He wasn't just playing for rings, he was fighting for control of his story. That's why he's obsessed with every detail, his training, his business, his image, and even the media around him. Allen Iverson once warned him years before the decision, "They love you right now, but the first time something happens, they're waiting." LeBron took that seriously. He knew that love from fans and the media could flip overnight, and that's why his rise has always been so calculated. Every move, every message, and every headline, all intentional. And then came Magic Johnson, one of the first legends to embrace him fully. Magic called LeBron the best player in all of basketball.
And Magic's tweeting, "The scoring and leadership of LeBron James, the best player in all of basketball, played a crucial role in the Lakers' victory."
He praised his vision, his leadership, and the way he makes teammates better. Thing is, Magic saw himself in LeBron, the Showtime flair, the floor general mentality, and that ability to dominate without needing to score 50. But what makes this even more poetic is that LeBron grew up idolizing Magic. He's talked about how he tried to model his game after Magic's passing and his ability to make the whole team shine. That's where LeBron's version of greatness began, not in isolation, but in orchestration. Still, not everyone defines greatness the same way. Jordan built mystique by disappearing. For him, it was win, vanish, repeat. Kobe, on the other hand, made it an obsession and made every day a personal war. Bird did it through mind games and ice-cold execution. But LeBron, he built it in public. He tweets, he posts, he admits doubt. He lets the world watch him make mistakes and learn from them. To some, that makes him relatable, a modern kind of legend. To others, it feels wrong, like showing your cards before the game's over. And that's where this whole debate starts to heat up, because the line between admiration and irritation gets thinner the higher you go. Speaking of, you probably remember where you were when LeBron James sat across from Jim Gray in that tight checkered shirt and said, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." It was 2010. ESPN had turned a free agency choice into a national event, and for the first time ever, basketball felt like a movie premiere. But the decision wasn't just a TV moment. It was the day LeBron stopped being everyone's golden boy and became one of the most polarizing figures in sports. Before that night, he was still the kid from Akron chasing a dream. After it, he was a symbol of control, ego, and power, depending on who you asked. The funny part is that the idea for the decision actually came from a marketing pitch. ESPN loved it, the sponsors loved it, and LeBron's team thought it was a chance to raise millions for charity, which it did. But the way it played out made it look like a king announcing his new kingdom, and it rubbed some people the wrong way. And that's when the old guard, the legends who built the league before LeBron, started talking. Charles Barkley went first, and boy, he didn't hold back. Barkley made it clear he was disappointed. LeBron had the talent to take down his rivals on his own, and instead, he joined forces with them.
I was disappointed. I wanted LeBron to stay in Cleveland, to be honest with you. And, I don't blame the guy, but I think it would be a lot more important and significant to win a championship in Cleveland than it would be in Miami if he wins it.
In Barkley's eyes, greatness wasn't about convenience. It was about proving yourself against the odds. That move, to him, wasn't legacy building, it was taking a shortcut. But that's not all. Michael Jordan, being well. Michael Jordan had a colder response to it. He didn't comment on LeBron's basketball choices directly, because somehow acknowledging that would take away from his aura. But you could feel the unspoken judgment.
I would have never, called up Larry, called up Magic and say, hey, let's get together and play on one team. I mean, things are different.
But this is even just the appetizer, not the main course. We're about to drop the bombshell MJ dropped that got the whole of the NBA talking very soon. Larry Bird jumped in too, and he went directly and called it a mistake.
I've did a lot of things I sort of regret. Whether he regrets it or not, I don't know, but he made some, a couple of decisions. The decision was a bad decision.
To him, LeBron was giving up the chance to build his legend the hard way, the way champions are forged, through experience and solo responsibility, not by stacking a team. Then Reggie Miller threw his 2 cents.
To me, him going down to Miami, jumping on the bandwagon of D. Wade and Chris Bosh, that's great. It's going to be great basketball to see. But for me personally, I would love to see him win a championship and stay in Cleveland.
To him, leading a smaller team to glory would have meant everything. Every win would have counted double. Every championship would have felt like a mountain climbed, but going to a stacked Miami squad is not the same. But on the flip side, not everyone hated the move. Some legends actually admired it. Magic Johnson saw it as a player finally owning his career instead of being owned by it. And if we're being honest, for years, stars had been traded or mismanaged by front offices, but LeBron flipped that power dynamic overnight. Suddenly, players were CEOs of their own careers, and in the middle of all that chaos was Pat Riley, the man who helped make it happen.
And I'll never forget when he said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. You could hear the whole place, the city was like, all of a sudden everybody's out in the streets yelling and screaming. I went out in the street, I never forget it.
So you didn't know until then?
I knew.
Oh, okay.
Riley saw what was coming before anyone else did. When LeBron's camp told him about the TV special, Riley warned them that this was going to be messy. He later admitted he knew the hate would hit hard, but he also believed that once the game started, winning would fix everything. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The Miami Heat instantly became the NBA's villains. Fans who used to cheer for LeBron turned on him like he'd personally insulted them. Even his old teammates in Cleveland had to deal with the fallout. Cavs owner Dan Gilbert wrote that infamous Comic Sans letter calling him a coward, which aged about as well as you'd expect. But the craziest part wasn't even the backlash itself. It was how deeply personal it got. LeBron later admitted that he believed race played a role in the reaction.
Do you think there's a role that race plays in this?
I think so at times. It's always, a race factor.
That statement sparked another wave of headlines. Not because he was wrong, but because nobody in his position had said it out loud before. The decision didn't just change how people saw LeBron. It changed the conversation around athletes, about control, loyalty, and what it really meant to chase greatness. Some saw it as betrayal, while others saw evolution. But one sure thing is that LeBron stopped being the kid chasing approval and started acting like a businessman who knew his worth, and it came with a cost. The Heat's first season was chaos. Every arena became a villain origin story. LeBron went from the NBA's most loved player to its biggest target. And when they lost that 2011 finals to Dallas, it just gave the people more ammo to throw more shade at him. But that's also where the next part of his story begins. Because the decision, for all its chaos, was the moment LeBron learned what it really meant to be hated. It hardened him, and it turned him from a prodigy into a machine. He got the crown, sure, but it came with its own battles. And the only way to silence critics was to win. And that's exactly what he set out to do. So after the decision, LeBron wasn't just dealing with hate, he had to prove himself. First stop, Miami. Joining Wade and Chris Bosh made headlines, sure, but it made him public enemy number one. Every arena he stepped into felt like a roast session from the fans, and the media didn't hold back either. People weren't just critiquing his game, they were questioning everything. And to make it worse, the 2011 finals against Dallas was brutal. LeBron got exposed, and it wasn't even a close loss. He was properly humiliated, and it was all televised. Till today, he still mentions that game as the worst game of his career. But instead of letting it break him, it sparked a shift. By the next season, he was back, sharper, tougher, and more controlled. Miami won in 2012 and 2013, back-to-back, and suddenly the guy who was taking the easy way was dominating. Then came 2016 when he was back in Cleveland. They were down 3-1 to Golden State, and most people were ready to write LeBron off, but he refused to fold. He carried the team on his back and delivered one of the greatest finals performances in NBA history. His block on Iguodala changed the series, and his triple-double in Game 7 sealed a comeback that no one thought was possible. Cleveland hadn't won a title in over 50 years, and LeBron gave the city a reason to believe again. Critics who had mocked Miami's super team suddenly had nothing to argue. Fast forward to 2020 in the Lakers bubble, where there were no fans, and the chaos of pandemic was everywhere. LeBron led a mix of veterans and rookies through an unprecedented season. Winning his 4th ring wasn't simply adding another trophy to the shelf, it was proof that he could adapt, evolve, and carry a team anywhere under any circumstance. Wade summed it up perfectly after the 2016 finals. He didn't focus on stats or highlight reels. He emphasized that LeBron always plays on his own terms. He sets the rules, controls the narrative, and embraces every expectation placed on him. Wade even explained why the Chosen One nickname fits.
Obviously led by Bron, and I think from his career, I think that moment right there really put him where he probably wanted to be, where everybody thought he was going to be one day when he was deemed as a chosen one.
Then there's Bill Russell. The man won 11 rings with Boston, and he did it by following a completely different philosophy. For Russell, greatness was about the team first, ego came second, and unity mattered above all else. In his words, "My ego demands, for myself, the success of the team." Compare that to LeBron, who controls everything: narrative, branding, championships, you name it. Both Russell and LeBron dominated, but they did it through completely different paths. One focused on agency, and the other on synergy. Both required discipline, skill, and determination. But the way they approached the game and life was worlds apart. But at the end of the day, being the chosen one wasn't a label handed to him. It was a challenge that he took on and made real. By the time LeBron had secured his rings with Miami, Cleveland, and the Lakers, the debate shifted from "did he win enough?" to "how long can he keep doing this?" Longevity became a defining part of his legacy. And when he finally passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the all-time leading scorer, the reaction was a mix of awe, respect, and a little disbelief. Kareem was classic about it. Of course, he didn't go full hype mode or get dramatic. Instead, he nodded, gave a little smile, and basically said, "All right, you did it. The numbers are yours." It was respect, but in that calm Boston way that made you realize this was no small thing.
Well, I think you should talk to LeBron about that, about, how he feels about trying to extend his career. From what I understand, he has another year with the Lakers. So, he's going to extend this record even further, and be interesting to see how far it goes.
But numbers don't settle debates, and that's when Chuck Barkley jumped in.
He's the best player in the world. Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete?
He said LeBron can be lazy at times, that he wants to be the favorite in every matchup, and that he sometimes doesn't compete the way he expects from the elite of the elite. But Shaquille O'Neal immediately fired back.
But Chuck, don't ever say LeBron doesn't want to compete. Does he need all the good players on this team to win? Yes. It's inappropriate because I think in a professional manner he could have went upstairs. They have great history, they have some bad history, but the history was rekindled.
He reminded everyone that LeBron has been playing at the highest level for nearly 2 decades. Shaq emphasized that surviving 82-game seasons, playoff runs, finals battles, and injuries takes more than talent. It takes durability, preparation, and a basketball brain that rarely rests.
You played for a team that had Big Four. You forgot about that? You, Akeem, Scotty.
First of all,
it doesn't matter.
That wasn't even close.
So the question is this: when do numbers stop meaning everything? Can stats ever truly measure greatness, or do they just give us a framework to argue over while missing the intangible stuff? Leadership, adaptability, the ability to bend a team's fate with sheer will? By the time we step away from the stats, it's clear. LeBron's numbers don't just tell you what he did. They tell you what he survived, what he endured, and why the game's legends can't stop talking about him. And speaking about legends, what you are about to hear is a full-on bombshell that could shift everything we thought we knew about LeBron's place in history.
Since when does greatness come with unholy parties, secrets, and Diddy on speed dial?
And just like that, you feel it. The unspoken judgment. But here's the kicker. LeBron, he's been right in that mix. And yes, we're talking about Diddy. Now, before you jump to assumptions, this isn't about champagne bottles or living large. No, this runs way deeper. It's about drama, wild blow-ups, the Cassie case, and just days ago, Diddy's legal world exploded again after he was sentenced to over 4 years in federal prison. And somewhere in the headlines, there's LeBron, attending these parties, posting photos, and casually being in the orbit of someone whose name has dominated gossip columns for over a decade. Imagine it. MJ built a fortress of mystique and little access. But LeBron? LeBron has always played a different game. He thrives in the spotlight, embraces social media, leans into friendships that make headlines, and yes, sometimes that means rubbing shoulders with someone like Diddy. And people noticed. Oh, did they notice? Let's rewind a little. Diddy has had his fair share of scandals. From the Cassie saga to public altercations and shocking legal issues, he's been the perfect storm of celebrity chaos. Every time a story broke, people whispered, "Who's close enough to him to be affected?" Enter LeBron. His attendance at parties and visible friendship with Diddy made fans and critics raise eyebrows. Was it harmless networking? A taste of the jet-set life? Or a deliberate statement that LeBron isn't hiding behind the same walls Jordan did? But here's the fascinating part. While MJ's mystique shielded him from gossip, LeBron's openness made him a target. And yet, he doesn't shy away. He posts, he smiles for the cameras, and he even jokes about it sometimes. Fame, for LeBron, is a double-edged sword, one that he's learned to wield like a pro. So when Jordan saw the whole Diddy thing, he didn't hold back. To MJ, this wasn't just gossip, it was ammo. LeBron himself added more fuel to the fire. On the Pat McAfee show, he dropped the line that he and MJ don't talk.
You and Michael at a good spot.
Who, me and Michael?
Jordan?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. We don't talk.
Why not, you think?
Because I'm still playing.
Now, contrast that with MJ mentoring Kobe. Jordan guided, advised, and shaped narratives quietly, behind the scenes. But the unholy parties line isn't just a joke, it's a statement. LeBron's dominance on the court, mixed with controversial relationships with people like Diddy, turns every headline into part of his story. The gossip, drama, and public fascination are now inseparable from his legacy. But here's the thing, all the headlines, the parties, the drama, it only makes LeBron's leadership style more fascinating. LeBron's leadership isn't the loud, fiery locker room type you see in movies. Wade has said straight up that LeBron commands respect without ever yelling. Back in their Miami Heat days, Wade noticed the shift. Early on, Wade was the lead voice, calling plays and motivating the team. But by 2012, LeBron had stepped up and was more assertive, confident, and taking charge in ways that complemented Wade instead of clashing. He wasn't just directing the team, he was orchestrating the locker room. Kyrie Irving told a story that shows the same thing from a different angle. In Cleveland, tensions were high, especially after losses. One time, after a tough defeat by Portland, Kyrie admitted they had a healthy exchange in the locker room. It wasn't drama for drama's sake. It was LeBron holding everyone accountable, calmly steering the ship even when things got messy. Anthony Davis also has a similar story. When AD first teamed up with LeBron, he was quieter and was leading mostly by example. But playing alongside LeBron flipped that script. LeBron taught him to speak up, take ownership, and own his role in the bigger picture. Now, AD isn't just a superstar on the court. He's a vocal, respected presence, and he credits that evolution to LeBron's influence. Now compare that with the older legends. Larry Bird led with quiet confidence, letting his game speak. Kobe demanded intensity and perfection, a firebrand that could make or break a team's mood. Michael Jordan had that icy aura, inspiring through fear and brilliance. But LeBron? He blends elements from all three. He's vocal when it counts, strategic in his corrections, and calm when the heat is on. Players want to follow him because he balances pressure with support and accountability with guidance. This isn't just them talking. Look at how his teams respond, how rookies quickly step up, and how stars like Wade, Kyrie, and AD adjust their games and their mindsets under his influence. But even the best stumble, and for LeBron, that stumble came in 2011. After the chaos of the decision and the Heat's first season together, people weren't just questioning his skills. They were questioning his loyalty, and the Dallas loss just made it easier for people to pile it on. Fast forward 5 years, and the narrative flipped entirely. Cleveland being down 3-1 to Golden State looked like a repeat of the Miami heartbreak. But this time, LeBron wasn't just responding, he was rewriting history. Every block, every clutch shot, and every single possession in that series screamed transformation. The city that had once felt betrayed was now watching its hero lift them out of decades-long disappointment. And yet, not everyone bought the hype without question. Scottie Pippen, who had lived under the shadow of another greatest, dropped one of the most brutally honest takes.
My problem is more so with LeBron is if you are the greatest player, if people are saying you are the greatest player, or if people are saying Michael Jordan is the greatest player, why do you need to say it?
The line hit because it wasn't just a jab, it was a mirror for the self-proclaimed GOAT. Let's be honest, LeBron called himself the GOAT, as many times as even the fans themselves, and with that, Scottie Pippen was kinda correct. But greatness isn't just about titles, stats, or even dominating on the court. For LeBron, it's always been bigger than basketball. Take the I Promise School in Akron, for example. He didn't just write a check and move on. He invested in a system designed to lift a whole community, providing not just education, but stability, mentorship, and opportunity. And then there's his voice in politics, where he's never shied away from speaking out on issues others tiptoe around, pushing athletes to see themselves as more than entertainers. His production company? It's another way he's shaping culture, telling stories that matter and amplifying voices beyond the court. Not everyone gets it, but legends like Magic Johnson see the full picture. They understand that greatness isn't just measured in rings, it's measured in influence, in how you use your platform to push the world forward. LeBron has done that while still performing at an elite level on the court. He's redefined what it means to be a superstar today, merging basketball dominance with social impact in a way few could have imagined when he first arrived in the league. Every word spoken about LeBron by the legends of the game has carried weight. From Magic's admiration to Scottie's sharp critique, to Kareem's acknowledgement of his impact to Jordan's subtle competition, LeBron didn't just shrug at the criticism, he internalized it. He used every jab as fuel. And consider that Michael Jordan, who is the ultimate standard in basketball, watched LeBron's career so closely that he almost felt threatened. We all know MJ is the GOAT, no doubt about that. But for someone who has rarely admitted concern over anyone, he saw a competitor who could even come close to challenging him. So this story isn't just about rings or stats. It's about the respect, the admiration, and in some cases, the quiet tension from the icons who came before him. So let me know, did LeBron earn his spot as the GOAT in your eyes, or does the debate continue? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you learned something new, and make sure to subscribe because there's a lot more where this came from.